Good evening, everybody. I hope you've had a good day. My day's been a bit stressful myself, but that's, maybe better stressful than not, so I'm grateful, and God got us through, so here we are. I had a thought I wanted to share with you tonight, and that is the value of integrity and honesty in how we present ourselves. There's a verse in Psalms chapter 32, verse 2. David says, "Blessed is the man against whom the Lord counts no iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no deceit." In whose spirit there is no deceit. The Bible talks a lot about honesty and about dishonesty. In fact, of the list of abominations, lying lands on the list twice. So honesty is extremely important to God. And David points out here that he almost ties these things two together. The man against whom the Lord counts no iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no deceit. He puts those together on purpose. David is a great example. He gets himself into trouble a fair amount, but he's always honest with God, and his honesty is what saved him. His honesty is what allowed him to admit when he'd made mistakes and bring them to God and get forgiveness. And then there's two interesting passages in the New Testament, specifically about guile or deceit. That same word that's used for the description David just had. And in John chapter 1, there's a somewhat humorous account of Nathanael being called by Jesus. And in verse 45, it reads, "Philip found Nathanael and said to him, 'We have found him of whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph.'" So, Philip's excited. "We found the Messiah. We found the one that Moses wrote about and the prophets wrote about. It's Jesus from Nazareth." And Nathanael, it's almost like his immediate blurred, the way I imagine this going, if I can kind of expound a little bit or, dramatize the reading a bit, it's almost like, without even thinking, Nathanael's like, can anything good come out of Nazareth? It's almost like, those people, can anything, aren't they all hicks out in Texas? Can you really have a lawyer come from Texas? Or, that's the kind of thing here. Nathanael's like, Nazareth, huh? Messiah's from Nazareth. Are you sure? But you get the sense that it's like Nathanael's just one of those guys that says what he's thinking and, doesn't have a filter and just here it comes. Said that probably should have stayed inside, thought Nathanael. But no, he said it. And Philip just responds, "Well, come and see." And so Nathanael coming to Jesus calls out to him while he's coming and says, "Behold, an Israelite in whom there is no deceit." It's almost like Jesus is kind of poking Nathanael because he knows what Nathanael's thinking. And Nathanael's response is like, "Do you know me? How do you know me?" So it's like Jesus got a number, right? He knows he's hit the nail on the head. But it occurs to me that's not a bad thing for Jesus. I mean, I would hope that Jesus could say of me that I was a man without deceit. Contrast that with Mark chapter 14, where you have the priests and the scribes coming to arrest Jesus, and it reads, "It was now 2 days before Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and the chief priests and the scribes were seeking how to arrest him being Jesus, by stealth and kill him, for they said, 'Not during the feast, lest there be an uproar among the people.'" The thing was, Jesus was popular, and the priests and scribes were trying to put him to death because they believed him to be guilty of blasphemy by claiming to be God. And so they were trying to arrest him and kill him, but they were trying to be sneaky about it. They had to scheme because he was popular, and they were thinking, if we arrest him in broad daylight, people are going to riot and there's going to be problems. So we have to kind of get him at night when no one's looking. And I guess my thought was, it should be a check in our spirit whenever we do something thinking, I'd better make sure I do this out of the light. I better make sure I do this when no one's looking because people might get the wrong idea. Well, if people might get the wrong idea, maybe they're not getting the wrong idea so much as we should be reevaluating what we're doing. It's interesting that arrest him by stealth and that, man in whom there is no deceit, it's the same word in the Greek. So I guess what I'm advocating is that we shouldn't be sneaky. We shouldn't be, trying to trick people or be deceitful in how we present ourselves. Our world actually praises that type of cunning intelligence, right? Loki is almost a hero, even though he's a bad guy. He's kind of a hero because he's smart, because he gets one over on people. He's a trickster, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being intelligent, and certainly we should be aware of how we come across. But if we have the ability, and we all do, we have the ability in how we speak, the words we use, the way we present ourselves, and especially in places like social media, what facts we choose to share, what facts we choose to hold back. We should be careful to use our ability to manipulate other people's perceptions, because that's frankly what communication is. Communication is me trying to present something to you and trying to understand what you've presented to me. And I have lots of tools at my disposal to kind of change the message. And we should be using those tools, but we should be using them in such a way to clarify truth rather than to obscure truth. So I purposely choose my words, I choose my mannerisms, the way I present myself online, specifically to help people understand what I truly believe, as opposed to mislead people into thinking I think something else. And this just kind of, when I was thinking about what to speak about tonight, this kind of jumped out at me, because in this time where we aren't able to be face-to-face, not really. Like you can see my face, but it's not real time. You can't see we're not physically in person. We're missing a lot of those kind of body language and other clues that we normally have to gauge what someone's thinking and how they feel about us. And it's so easy for there to be miscommunication because we're just missing that level of communication. I guess I want to advocate for us to be intentional about being people of integrity, being intentional about choosing the words we say to reflect our honest beliefs, to reflect our honest opinions, rather than taking the opportunity to present a false front. Not everyone's going to appreciate who we really are, but at the end of the day, we don't need everybody to appreciate who we really are. We need the people who love us to appreciate who we really are. And God, most of all, He knows who we are, and like David said, He's looking for people who have no deceit in their spirit, who aren't trying to get one over on you, trying to take advantage of you and mislead you, but who are trying to be genuine and authentic. And especially in this kind of time of disconnection, we need that genuineness, we need that authenticity from one another. So anyways, that was my thought. I hope you guys are having a great day. We love you, and we are looking forward to the time we get to see you again. But until then, God bless. Thanks.